It's time to talk the world's game from an American perspective. Presented by ShopFutsal.com, you're listening to Two Up Front, where we focus on all things American soccer. Now in the studio, your hosts, Baxter Colburn and Simon Provan.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. I am Baxter Colburn.
And believe it or not, this is Simon Provan.
Well, hello, Simon Provan.
Hey, Baxter.
How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Back in the studio was a great feeling. I had a good time out in Oregon over the last couple of weeks. Officially certified in a certain Meisner technique of acting.
Well done, a Meisner technique. What exactly does that even mean?
It's a lot of repetition.
Ah.
So you say something, I say something, you say something. We
Sounds
go back
like Two Up Front on a weekly basis.
Right.
I could have saved you that and just given you a piece of paper and been like, you're good.
So it's a way to get actors out of their head. So anybody listening who is an actor knows exactly what that means. And if you're not an actor, you don't have to know what that means. It's part of the magic.
Part of the magic. Perfect. Well, I'm so glad that the magic of Two Up Front is back and rolling along. Not to say that Corey Platt did not do a good job. It was wonderful to have him and get a little bit more of a debating perspective from him at times during the last 2 weeks. So thank you, Corey, for filling in for Simon.
Yeah, thanks, Corey.
It's great to have you back, though, Simon. A lot of things to get to today. A couple of interviews coming up as well. In our next segment, we're going to talk to Bianca Verar of VAVEL USA. She's been promoted, Simon. She's no longer just a writer. She's the official NWSL editor of VAVEL USA.
How about that? Congratulations.
So, she'll be here with us to talk about NWSL. My Houston Dash finally won, against, a very depleted Portland Thorns team, so I'm not going to read too much into it.
Well, but not only did they win, Baxter, but they got their first goal since, what was it, May 7th?
Something. They win 6 games without scoring a goal, and they waited a couple minutes too long to not have the record, but now they own the record for the longest scoreless drought, or the longest scoring drought.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize that.
So they now have the most minutes of scoring without scoring because they waited, I think, like 6 or 7 minutes into the match to not score.
But I'll tell you what, it seems like ever since Denise O'Sullivan was on this show, man, she is lighting up that Houston.
I love Denise.
Houston field, yeah.
I agree. No, I completely agree. And then later on, we're going to go down to USL. Michael Cox of Orlando City B will be here to chat with us. And then a fantastic interview that I'm really excited for. New England Revolution's forward Femi Hollinger-Jansen will be here to talk about his incredible journey overcoming a birth defect. He wasn't even supposed to walk, Simon, and now he is almost starting for the New England Revolution. He's a very consistent substitute, and he's scored a lot of goals, and it's a feel-good story. So definitely an exciting thing for him.
Yeah, Baxter, that's the great thing about sport. Of course, we focus on soccer here, but sport does offer those opportunities to come over the odds, to do the impossible.
I agree.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about sport in this world.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you on that one. So, like we said, 3 huge interviews today that we are very excited about. As we mentioned, though, we want to make sure that you know that you can find us on Fridays on the Sports Podcasting Network at 11:30 a.m. Central Time, and then you can find the show on demand on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker.com. And, of course, you can find more information about our show at going to our website at twoupfrontsoccer.com.
Of course, you can also find us on Facebook, Two Up Front. We're on Twitter as well, at Two Up Front Soccer, and we have our own Twitter handles, at Simon Provan, at Baxter Colburn.
Yes, indeed. All right, Simon, well, let's jump into the kick around, a full batch of wonderful things to get into here in the first segment. Let's start briefly with the 2016 AT&T MLS All-Star roster officially being announced. They will take on Arsenal this on July 28th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You will be there, Simon.
That's the plan. I had an audition for a film recently that if I were to be cast, I'm not counting on it. I never do, but if I were, then actually I'd be filming on that Thursday.
How interesting.
But yes, the plan is for now that got the plane ticket,
hopefully.
Got the hotel.
Just in case.
Well,
that's exciting.
So, yeah. But so either way, I win. You know what I mean? If I don't get cast, I get to go to the MLS All-Star game.
I have to go to a movie. I have to go to the All-Star game. Right. It's like, bummer. What a chore it is to be Simon Provan on the day of the All-Star game, I guess.
But yes, I'll be sure to snap pictures, post them to our Twitter account, Baxter.
Even if you're in the movie as well, too, you're going to post those?
Sure, I'll figure that out somehow.
We had Pokemon on the show last week. If you didn't see, there was
I saw
some
that,
Pokemon hanging out in the studio with us. It was kind of weird. You definitely caught a feud on air. But Looking at this roster, only 2 goalkeepers, which is very traditional. There still will be a couple other players that will be named to the roster. Those are more just, hey, you're an all-star, but you don't get to actually go to the roster. David Bingham, Andre Blake. I can't really think of 2 better goalkeepers. I would say David Ousted, but the way Bingham and Blake have played so far this year, I think that's the best 1 and 2.
I'm going to disagree a little bit, Baxter. Zach McMath deserves to be, and I think that was a league thing where the league probably stepped in and said, Tim Howard's coming in. We can't have Zach McMath be the Colorado Rapids keeper.
No, but to the same, and I can see that. David Bingham not nearly as good as Andre Blake. I think Andre Blake, overall, probably the best goalkeeper from start to finish. I mean, you can say what you want about Zach McMath. Pure athleticism, I think Andre Blake is the better goalkeeper overall.
And I'm not going to argue with the athleticism, but when you're looking at shutouts, Zach McMath he's on top of the league.
No, I'd agree with you. Maybe it was this is obviously fan vote as well, too, so there's only so much. Andre Blake probably had a much more of a fan base voting for him in Philadelphia than maybe McMath did in Colorado, especially now with Tim Howard's there. People were probably like, oh, that's right, Zach McMath was our goalie. That's right. He did a thing for us. So hopefully people actually realize that. But the defenders are Matt Beasler, Steve Birnbaum, Laurent Simon, Andrew Farrell, Liam Ridgewell, Keegan Rosenberry, Brandon Vincent, and Kendall Waston as well. Andrew Farrell doesn't belong on this roster. Thank you, though, for putting him on here, MLS. That's very nice of you.
I kind of feel the same way about Liam Ridgewell. He's been injured a lot this season. He had a great year last year, and I almost feel like that's the reason as he's on this team this year.
Matt Beasler's been pedestrian this entire year, even at the Gold Cup. Not the Gold Cup, Copa America, I felt like. It was good to see the consistency, I guess, but I'm a little surprised by that. And Steve Birnbaum being gone, too, he hasn't been a part of the whole MLS season. Laurent Simon was gone with Belgium as well at the Euros. So Keegan Rosenberry and Brandon Vincent and Kendall Waston are really the only 3 guys that have done a lot for their teams this year. But on the flip side, Brandon Vincent plays for a horrible Chicago Fire team. But Keegan Rosenberry, he's not even 20, I believe, Simon, and he's tearing up the league right now. I believe he's a true right back, which doesn't happen very often in MLS.
No, that's right. Yeah, very true. Very true.
Midfielders, Kyle Beckerman, Mauro Diaz, Giovanni Dos Santos, Jermaine Jones, Kaká, Sasha Kleshton, Darlington Nagme, Andrea Pirlo, and Will Trapp.
I have to say, you look at those players, there's not a single one that doesn't deserve to be there.
Well, there's a guy, though, that is causing a lot of row because he's not there, Simon. Do you know who that is? I'm surprised you didn't pick him out.
Diego Valeri.
Yeah,
that's
he's not
true.
on this entire roster. That if you're looking for,
I guess you know what, Baxter? Yeah, I would take Will Trapp out of there and put Valeri in.
Well, I don't know why Will Trapp is there. But you need representation probably of the entire league. But Ola Kamara, I feel like, has been much better than Will Trapp. But they probably needed a midfielder. Ethan Finley hasn't done much.
And Ola Kamara has come on since the other Kamara has left. You think about the first time we put our votes in. That was a couple of months ago.
No, that's right. We could go back and look.
And that's part of the problem with this.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah, from a media perspective, good Lord, that was probably 2 or 3 months ago that we voted at that point. And think how much MLS changes even in 2 weeks, let alone 2 months.
Now, what I will say, yes, Mauro Diaz, again, he was injured this season. So was Valeri.
Commissioner's pick.
But he's a commissioner's pick, so is Kyle Beckerman as a commissioner's pick. So the commissioner had an opportunity to put Valeri in there as well.
He did. You're absolutely right about that. Kyle Beckerman, once again, doesn't deserve to be in this. That's more of a U.S. fanboy thing. Mauro Diaz, absolutely. I feel like whether he plays 5 minutes all year or he plays every single game, Mauro Diaz is through and through one of the best, if not the best, midfielder in MLS, I feel like. And then forward-wise, Clint Dempsey, Didier Drogba, Sebastian Giovinco, Kyle Larin, Ignacio Piatti, David Villa, and Simon's favorite player, Chris Wondolowski.
Well, hey, as we talk about in MLS, he's a fantastic player, but when you put him on the national team,
totally different story.
Go.
And when you're playing at a Via Stadium, you can't not have your poster boy of the San Jose Earthquakes.
Right.
You just have to.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually one player on here, Baxter, that I don't think deserves to be on here. And I think he's on here same thing because of last year, and that's Drogba. How many team or games has he sat out?
That's true.
Because he doesn't want to play on turf.
I agree with you on that one. Between Drogba and even Clint Dempsey, though, too. Dempsey's been fairly wishy-washy this year, too. But, he has the last name that has carried him so far in his career. That makes total sense. Giovinco, obviously. Ignacio Piatti, David Villa, yes. Those three especially are carrying their teams right now. Kyle Larin started hot, got really, really cold for a couple of weeks, and then just more recently than not has sort of come back with a couple goals here and there. Rumors that he might even be going to Benfica and Portugal as well, but that's a whole other thing for a whole other time.
Here's another Timbers player that I think got snubbed that I would have picked over Drogba, and that's Adi.
Yeah, that was another one that I had heard too.
10 goals. He's got 10 goals on the year. He's only 3 off the mark. He's third in the league.
No, I agree with you on that one. I mean, and maybe this is my fanboy on my side too, but I would have much rather Andrew Farrell not been on this team. If you're going to put a Revolution defender, then take Chris Tierney, or I would have brought Lee Win on as well from a midfield perspective. Nobody else, to my knowledge, has played that well. I mean, New England as a whole has not played consistently well all season, but Lee Win, I feel like, has been a small spot. Andrew Farrell, he's been, fairly decent, but not all-star worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Baxter, completely.
All right, let's continue to move on. MLS transfer season has been a little busy here and there. We won't spend too much time on it because we, even ourselves, don't necessarily know everything that's going on. But a big move that just recently happened, Patrick Mullins found himself traded over to DC United, and Fabian Espindola, who thought was getting ready to play with a nice young up-and-coming forward, found himself traded to Vancouver. So now if you're Vancouver, you have Blas Perez, and you have Fabian Espindola. Which, yes, I know they're not in their prime, but these guys still know how to put the ball in the back of the net, as we've seen many times this season already.
Absolutely. I mean, Perez, he's not his prime, but, he's the one still scoring goals for Vancouver, for his country as well. So the man is just a lightning bolt of energy, even at his age. And who was the other player you mentioned that just got transferred? I'm sorry, to Vancouver. Patrick Mullins.
To DC United, yeah.
Right. But who was the Espindola?
I'm sorry, Fabian Espindola.
To Vancouver. Yeah, he's not far removed from his prime, though.
Yeah.
He just needs to be in that right system in order to. I mean, when he was playing fantastic for Sporting Kansas City, he had a good cast around him, and the cast hasn't changed much, but it has aged.
Yes, no, I completely agree with you on that one. DC United also, a couple of days, about 2 weeks ago now, but we didn't say much about it. They got Lloyd Sam. They bought him off of New York Red Bulls. So interesting now for Lloyd Sam to be a part of the DC United team that has Lamar Nagel on it. I mean, Patrick Mullins.
You got Kemp in the back, who's had a really good season. Bill Hamid, of course, in goal as well. I think that's a fantastic pickup for DC United, personally. And I think Ben Olsen's really starting to get things together.
There's something going on there to keep an eye on. But as we mentioned, too, rumors swirling about Kyle Larin possibly being sold to Benfica in Portugal, which would be a good stepping stone because anybody that's been a fan of Sporting Lisbon knows that they basically made the Portuguese national team and their Champions League or their Euro Championship team. There's rumors that Diego Fagundes is rumored to go over to Serie A. I believe it's Fiorentino, but Fagundes has been rumored every single season since he came in MLS to Italy at some point, so I don't really take that with much until he's actually sold. Other than that, I haven't heard too many other rumors or things mulling around. Simon, have you heard anything else?
I have not, other than, if we're in this arena, we want to talk about the big hire from Orlando recently coming out. Jason Kreis has returned.
He has. He took a year off to coach NYCFC, and then he got fired after being told that you're going to be our long-term coach, and then he got fired, and then he took a year off as unemployment was and became Jurgen Klinsmann's assistant.
Exactly,
basically.
He spent time with Klinsmann.
So who knows how much he learned or didn't learn while he was with him. And now Orlando City fired Adrian Heath and decided to hire Jason Kreis.
Yes,
which is interesting.
Well, I think it's a fantastic hire. Look, when Kreis was at RSL, they were struggling and they were still in their expansion stage. Really, when he took over, when Dave Checketts he retired from playing and immediately was named the coach. That was part of the plan.
Yeah.
He won an MLS Cup.
He did.
With RSL.
I know.
Now he's in a similar situation here where he's with a team that, Orlando City isn't horrible, but they keep drawing and drawing and drawing. Of course, Heath's last game was that 4-0 loss he had on July 4th. I want to say against one of the New York teams. I don't know if that's right. I was still in Oregon at that point. But anyways, you got Kaká in the midfield there. For now, you have Larin up top. You've got a decent keeper in Bendik in the back.
Julio Baptista, you've got there. I mean, there's enough guys that you could do something.
Yeah, the ingredients is there to make this team something.
Yeah, exactly.
And having somebody like Jason Kreis now, who I guarantee you, Baxter, I guarantee, and this is funny because he actually came out and said, everything that this club has is everything you want in a soccer club, which is kind of like doing a little something to New York City FC.
Exactly.
But my point is, I think ultimately what happened is he probably went in that room and said, look, at New York I had no control. I was told I had to play Pirlo. I was told I had to play Lampard when he came. He probably said, give me total. I probably learned this from Klinsmann. Give me total control. I don't know if he said it in a German accent. And trust me with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make this a winning club.
Yeah, I mean, it's from a move perspective. I mean, there was no better guy available right now, at least from an American coach perspective. But I mean, I heard swellings of Dunga maybe being hired as well. I mean, they're already Brazilian enough anyway down in Orlando, so they thought, why not bring in a Brazilian coach and completely just change Orlando as a whole? But they decided to stay domestic and brought in Jason Kreis. He knows MLS. He knows how to win an MLS, at a very, very high level.
Right.
It makes sense.
It also makes sense, like you said, Baxter. He knows MLS, and that's the key. If you're going to make a change mid-season, you got to bring in somebody who knows this league. They can't be learning the league.
Yep, no, I completely
They've
agree.
got a great fan base down there, and they're on the verge of losing some of them because there's been some bad relationships between players and the fans. You need a guy like Kreis in there who can get in and fix things today.
I agree. I completely agree. All right, 2 other quick things here, Simon, before we run to our first break. Let's talk about the U.S. Open Cup. The quarterfinals are done and gone, and the semifinals are set. New England will take on Chicago at New England, and the LA Galaxy will host FC Dallas. Both of those matches are scheduled for August 10th.
Oh, man, I could have sworn I read something today that FC Dallas and Chicago were playing each other.
Not according to this. As of 11 and 20.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Semifinals are set with New England slated to host Chicago and LA scheduled to host FC Dallas. Chicago gets first priority for hosting the final, though, so maybe a possible road trip in our near future.
Maybe that's okay.
Yeah,
yes,
LA has second, then Dallas. New England can't host. Everybody else would have to drop out, and honestly, for them to even have a chance to host, which is not going to happen, of course. So your thoughts? I mean, what do you think about how this all shaped up?
I was surprised to see the Galaxy beat Seattle in this. I mean, this is Seattle's tournament.
Yeah,
I agree. Three back-to-back wins. I found a very funny thing on Twitter today that said the LA Galaxy may create history here in being the first team to not want to win the cup to actually win the cup.
It's so true, though. Like it's sad of how badly the Galaxy just don't care, but they keep getting matched up against teams that care even less than they do, which you think is a very hard thing to accomplish. But I mean, now they have to go up against a real team in FC Dallas, which you would like to assume will bring a very talented grouping of guys when they have to take on the Galaxy. I mean,
well, I tell you what, we say they don't care yet. They go down 1-0 in the 4th minute in this game against Seattle.
Yeah.
It takes a while, but then Alan Gordon in the 17th minute ties things up, and you're thinking, hey, maybe something will happen here. Game stays tied through that first half, and then Herculez Gomez scores. He loves scoring against Bruce Arena because Bruce Arena did not like him.
Yeah,
obviously. Anyways, so it's 2-1 all the way up to the 77th minute, and LA boom, boom, boom. So if they don't care, they certainly do seem to care. In the final minutes of these games, and. It's been a long time since we've seen a domestic double in the U.S., and it'd be cool.
I'd agree. No, I completely agree with you on that one. So we'll keep an eye on the U.S. Open Cup, of course, and maybe we'll have Josh Hakala again from the Cup.us back on as well once we know a little bit more about who our final will be and how those teams got there. Last thing, let's jump over to Europe really fast. Simon, you found an interesting article about America's favorite Wunderkid. Christian Pulisic.
Julian Green being mentioned over here at ESPN FC. Now, I don't know if they're doing this just to, to get some hits, but
probably.
Javi Martinez wrote an article today about how Julian Green could be set for a breakout season with Bayern Munich. Of course, I feel like we heard that song last year.
Feel like we did.
But a little bit different this year, Baxter. He's actually been playing in preseason, starting some games, and in fact, he got the first goal in their 4-3 preseason friendly over Lipstadt. But they also played 90 minutes against Manchester City. So Ancelotti's been very complimentary of Green, saying he's a young kid, lots of potential. and for sure he will play well. But again, we've heard this from other coaches, But he's actually playing in the preseason, and as an American fan, of course, you hope that carries over.
No, I'd agree with you on that one. So something certainly to keep an eye on with Julian Green. Maybe he'll find his way back into the Jurgen Klinsmann's roster, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
camp at least, maybe.
If Ancelotti lives up to his words that Green will get plenty of opportunities this year, we just got to hope they're with the top team and not the U23s.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. All right, we're going to run to a break. When we come back, Bianca Verar will be here with us from VAVEL USA to talk about NWSL and see what's going on now that the Olympics are just around the corner, and what's going on with Boston maybe too, and a couple other teams. We'll be back with more. You're listening to Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com.
Two Up Front is the American soccer show on the Sports Podcasting Network. Join Baxter Colburn and Simon Provan on Fridays at 11:30 a.m. Central as they cover all things American soccer, with weekly guests from the pro, college, and youth ranks, and digging deep into the American professional leagues. Two Up Front gives you the insight you're looking for. Airing at 11:30 a.m. Central on SportsPodcastingNetwork.com, it's Two Up Front, the world's game from an American perspective.
Back inside the studio, rolling on with another edition of Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. I'm Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
All right, Simon Provan. Moving into NWSL action, the Olympics, well, they're still only about a month away, but NWSL continues to churn on. All the good players, or at least what most folks would tell you, are gone to their respective national teams if they are playing in the Olympics. And there's just a lot happening, Simon. Sometimes too much for us to handle. Which wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, just you look at the amount of players called up, and it's like it's hard for me to keep track of all of these.
So I feel like we need somebody else to help us figure
this out. Yeah,
that's
what I was thinking, Baxter.
Is there somebody you can think of that would help us?
In my mind, there's a name popping up.
There's a name.
It starts with Bianca as the first name.
That's what it starts with, is Bianca?
B starts with B, but the name is Bianca.
Yeah, I think Bianca Verar, would be a good one.
That's who it is. Yes.
Perfect. Well, Bianca Verar, the newly promoted NWSL editor of VAVEL USA, is here with us. How are we doing, Bianca? Welcome back to Two Up Front.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great, just, ready for this weekend set of games.
Yeah, we've got some good games coming up, but let's go back to last week for just a brief moment, if you don't mind, Bianca. Some interesting games. Let's start with the team very near and dear to both of our hearts, though, the Houston Dash. They finally got a huge victory, 3-0 over the Portland Thorns, but it wasn't the same Portland Thorns team, though, wouldn't you say, Bianca?
No, yeah, definitely. Just without their Olympic players, they took a big hit. And then also with Dagny, not really sure why she wasn't there, but she also wasn't in the lineup or on the bench. So that definitely changed the Portland Thorns that night.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you on that one. Yeah, and it was Houston also acquired a new record, unfortunately, they now have the league record, correct me if I'm wrong, Bianca, for the most minutes without scoring a goal. I think they missed it by, like a couple minutes had they scored any earlier than that, but they now own the league record, which is something to not be thrilled about. 6 matches they went without scoring a goal, but finally getting 3.
I was going to say, but they made up for it by putting 3 in Portland's net.
And it was 3 players that needed to score. It was nice to see Rachel Daly finally get back on the score sheet after a very, very long hiatus as well. But aside from that, though, Bianca, some other interesting games, of course, as we saw here over the last week in NWSL action. You saw a Washington Spirit team hold on against FC Kansas City. The Chicago Red Stars beat Orlando 1-0. Seattle and Washington drew 1-1. And then Boston, poor Boston, they lost to Sky Blue 3-2. Of those 4 games, Bianca, were any of them that really jumped out to you more than another for one reason or another?
Not entirely. It kind of went the way I was expecting, but more for Seattle. I was kind of just surprised they couldn't put it away after everything that they went through the week before with the Western New York field issue, and just having these quality players that you would assume is like the most stacked in the league considering how many people are gone.
Yeah.
And they still weren't able to put it away.
It was very interesting to see a Seattle team struggle like that. But to the same accord, though, the Western New York Flash, they've had a very good season.
Maybe it's because Seattle prepared for a 58-yard field.
That is also very possible. Yeah, they were expecting something a little different, maybe.
I mean, that was we haven't touched upon that yet because I was gone, but I watched a little bit of that game, and I tuned in, and I was so incredibly confused that they weren't on, even on the dirt at all, that they kept it all in the outfield, and I just kept thinking, man, every foul that happens in the final third could be a penalty kick.
Well, any foul that happens is basically within shooting distance on that field, too. It was absolutely just... you wrote a pretty scathing piece about this, too, on VAVEL USA, Bianca. What were some of your thoughts about that? Interesting. Should we call it Fieldgate? I don't know. What should we call it? It was bad.
I don't know, but yeah, it was pretty bad. It's just very surprising to me how the league kind of just let it happen due to like all the other factors going on. Like they were aware of the field being booked for that day and just not finding like a different option or like rescheduling. And then just like the comments after the match too were pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard from a lot of different sources too. Is that both coaches were just floored. They were like, "Are you serious?" Like, I mean, at what point though, if you're a team, and maybe you can help me with this, Simon. At what point, if you're a team, do you walk out onto the field and say, "I'm not playing on this"?
Well, that's what I was going to say is, if both coaches were upset with it, you would think there'd be a point where they would turn around and say to their players, "What do you think?"
Yeah, you don't have to play. I mean, if both teams decide, hey,
because ultimately what it does is a disservice to a league that's trying to grow.
Yeah,
and obviously we're very supportive of it. Bianca, of course, you're very supportive of it. And to us types of fans, it's it's almost an insult that you would play a game on a field of that size.
And I think I mentioned this last week too when Corey was with me here too, talking about it and the fact of that this is something that as an NWSL league they were growing. Everybody was really recognizing them, and then they did this, and I felt like they almost took a step or two back. And I feel like this did way more damage than it did good by playing the game. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one. Bianca, as the Olympics are just right around the corner here now, too, of course, 38 players from NWSL are on their way to the Olympics. Is there one team or two or three teams that are going to be affected the most because of these major absences at all?
I feel for sure, obviously, Portland, because they just have so many players that are either playing for our national team or just overseas, so they're a very big factor. But also, I just feel like the Dash, despite their struggles anyway, they'll also suffer because a lot of their starting players are on national teams too. So It'll be interesting how they balance their amateur players and put in players in different places.
I'd agree with you on that one, too. I mean, and some folks can say, well, they lose Carly Lloyd, but they lost Carly Lloyd months ago, so her absence doesn't mean anything right now. If she comes back healthy, obviously that'll be like getting a brand new player, which will be fantastic. But losing Morgan Bryan, as you mentioned, Ashlyn Chapman, Paulina, Yanni Becky, Lydia Williams, and Andressa as well, those are all key cogs for Houston's starting 11. So all of those players being gone certainly leave some questions, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, too, you look at here, it's the quality of players, too, like you're talking about, Bianca, with Portland. I mean, you lose Christine Sinclair, who's obviously playing for Canada. Henri, who was their big signing this year, she's playing for France. So it's not, as you said, it's not just the Americans, but the quality of their internationals is astounding. So to see Portland without players, and it's no surprise then that one of the other top teams is the Washington Spirit, who's losing a number of players as well. Now you see why they're
exactly
two of the top teams in the league.
I'd agree with you on that one too. I'm curious more so than anything for teams that have these Olympic goalkeepers, how they're going to respond. No Hope Solo, no Alyssa Nair, no Lydia Williams.
That's a huge loss for Houston.
That's massive, absolutely massive. But I'm curious now. Will Seattle be able to do anything now that they are Hope Solo-less? Is Chicago going to still be quote-unquote as good as they were without Alyssa Nair? Like that, there's a lot of questions I feel swirling around with how good some of these teams are. But to the same accord, though, there's teams that are going to at least be able to take advantage of that. I mean, Boston, they're only losing 2 people from what I'm counting here, if I'm counting correctly, I believe. This is an opportunity if you're Boston to at least get a little bit of dignity back.
Sure.
I mean, you've only won one game all season long, so certainly a possibility in that regards. But
that's a good question for you, Bianca. Is this an opportunity for Boston to take advantage, or are they just that poor where it's really not going to change much for them?
Well, I feel like since they're only losing 2 players, I want to say it's Whitney Engen and Kaya Simon. They definitely should take advantage of the fact that other people are losing more players. But I just feel like after watching this team seasons in and out, just not being able to put it together, it's kind of just not going to happen for them. They have they signed a couple of international players, but from what I've searched on them, their players that they're bringing in aren't necessarily the best of the best. They're kind of just subpar or didn't really see much time at their other clubs. So I feel like they're just not doing what they need to be able to win games and take advantage of this Olympic break.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
That's my big question for you, Bianca. So kind of taking a big left turn here, but there's not much of a break that happens with NWSL. And I understand part of that is you got to get these games in. But, in an Olympic year, it's not just the Olympics that these teams are affected by, but it's all these pre-Olympic games that they're affected by. Is that at a point where, it's year 4 in NWSL, they get through this year, but 4 years from now that they maybe do take a 2-month break from play? So you don't have teams like Portland, like Washington, like Houston losing these massive amount of people and then perhaps the fans feeling a little bit cheated when they pay full ticket prices?
I feel like, now it's too late obviously to do anything, but in 4 years, definitely look into that, especially with how often, for example, the U.S. takes their players. And I know Brazil sometimes likes to do residency camps before they go into, their big tournament. So you're losing players. Last year, I know for the Dash, Randy tried to sign some Brazilians, but he had to let them go because they wanted to do a residency camp for the team before they went to the World Cup. And that's just, the teams are kind of being cheated because you get the player, you do all these things to trade and, make sure you have these players, but when you can't use them when you need them, what's the point?
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one for sure. I mean, and that's something too. Next year, when there is no major tournament, the women's Euros are next year, but the amount of players lost is so much less.
Right,
honestly.
Right.
So.
Well, and you look at the teams that are being represented by the NWSL in the Olympics: United States, France, Australia, Brazil, Canada, New Zealand.
Those are 1 through 5 basically all NWSL teams.
And New Zealand, number 17, they made the quarterfinals in 2012. So they're not like the men's team where it's kind of like no problem.
Yeah, it's like
they're a decent squad. Yeah. So you've got top players playing for top teams, and I realize the league right now, NWSL, just isn't healthy enough to take that break, but I certainly hope they get to that point where, like I said, you're able to take a couple months off rather than having, for lack of a better phrase, a reduced product on the field.
No, I'd agree with you on that one. I mean, and that bears the question, though, too, Bianca, what would have to happen, though, to survive that bigger break? Is it more teams? Is it more players?
Smaller fields?
Yeah. 3v3 tournaments? What how do you solve this problem?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, just first of all, just develop the other players that maybe, start adding more reserve teams to each club, because I know the Spirits have, a reserve that plays in the semi-pro league, and I believe they pull up players from that team when they have other players away on international duty, which would be good, and just, maybe have, a mini tournament during that time, something that's, outside of league play. I feel like they just need to figure something out, because if they keep doing this, I don't know if people will be satisfied with what they're seeing.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I mean, you want to keep the interest in the league as long as possible, but at the same accord, I mean, you need to be smart about it too. I mean, the league is surviving and it's surpassed expectations so far. But at the same time, I mean, you got to think about it, though. The future is certainly bright, and with expansion talks, coming maybe along the East Coast from what we've heard as well for a possible team. But we'll have to wait and see. Well, Bianca, before we let you run, let's take a look at these upcoming games for this weekend. Let's start with Western New York Flash and FC Kansas City. What do you think about that game, and who do you think is your winner?
That one's going to be a pretty interesting one. Personally, I feel like if KC can figure out their offense, they should be good. But otherwise, the Flash are just on a roll. So I can't really see them being stopped right now.
Well, hasn't that been the argument all season long, though, Simon? If FC Kansas City can figure out their offense, they'll be on a roll. I mean, they've been struggling, and then randomly they'll be like, "Oh, we're really good," and then, "Oh, we don't know how to play soccer." "Oh, we're really good." It's like, okay, it's like, well, we'll figure it out. I'd have to agree. I think Western New York Flash, in my opinion, regardless of the couple of players that they're missing, they're just a very sound team through and through right now, and they're definitely the team to beat. What about you, Simon?
Yeah, they've snuck their way to the top, and boy, it doesn't seem. I mean, not the tippy top, but up in the top three there with the Spirit and the Thorns. But they're playing like the best league in the team right now. The best team,
the best league in the team,
league.
Huh? Wow. Goodness. Let's move on. Sky Blue FC and the Washington Spirit.
Coffee, please. Somebody have coffee?
Please, somebody get an intern on that. Holy crap. What do you think about Sky Blue and what they've been doing recently, Bianca, and if they have what it takes to dethrone the Washington Spirit?
I was actually just looking at the standings earlier today, and they're in fifth, and I didn't even realize that. But yeah, I feel like they have what it takes for sure to come in and get 3 points against Washington. Washington's they're at the top, and they've been there for a while, but just sometimes their defense kind of just sleeps on during the game, and they don't pay attention to the holes. So it'll be an interesting one, but I'm probably going to go with Sky Blue.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think that there's going to be too many players. Anytime Crystal Dunn is not on the field for your team, you're a much weaker team, in my opinion. And I think Sky Blue is going to capitalize and make the Spirit pay, honestly.
Sky Blue fell behind early to Boston Breakers this last weekend, and they came back and won that game 3-2.
Proving that they can do that, yeah.
Which even that scoreline wasn't as close as the game actually was. I think Sky Blue will beat as you said, Crystal Dunless Washington Spirit.
Yes, exactly. The Spirit are done without Crystal Dunn. Oh,
moving on.
Terrible. The one game this weekend that I so desperately wish I could go to, but we have a broadcasting obligation, Simon. The Chicago Red Stars hosting the Houston Dash. Just a mere hour away from us, yet we cannot partake in the adventure. Maybe we'll just call in sick for the game on Saturday. We can't. We're just going to go down now. We won't do that. We love our jobs very much. But either way, though, Chicago, no Kristen Press, no Alyssa Nair. Houston Dash, no Lydia Williams, no Morgan Bryan. Who wins this game?
This one's a really tough one. I actually just wrote my preview for this game today, but they're both coming off wins after winless streaks, so it'll be very interesting to see how this one goes. But with Chicago, they looked very, very strong in their last game, the one against the Pride. But so it'll be interesting. And the Dash, they have the attacking, they have everything in the attack to be able to win, but it's whether or not they can piece it together because there's just so many switches, who plays where, all that kind of stuff. But I want so badly, I want to say Houston, but I feel like Chicago just being at home, they're just going to be able to take it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Yeah, Houston is horrible on the road. Chicago tends to play well at home.
But there's no Kristen Press, though, and no Olympic goalkeeper, Alyssa
right,
Nair.
But you're taking Lydia Williams out, so to me that's a wash. So I'm going with Chicago in this one.
Interesting. I'm going to call it draw, just for fun.
I could see a draw. I mean, I don't really know much about Chicago's keeper without Alyssa, but I know Bianca Henninger, who I've known for years since she's been on the Dash at the start. She's very, despite her height, she's very good in goal, and she's very good at organizing her back line. So I guess it just depends on how pieces fall into place on Saturday.
Now, what I will say is this is a battle of the two teams with the best uniforms in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
I really do. I love the Houston
no doubt.
Dash and the Red Stars unis, man. They're fantastic looking.
Who's the team that you hate? Whose uniform is it?
It's not the team I hate. It's
the
jersey.
uniform.
It's the Flash.
That's right.
Have one of those really gaudy, huge
sponsors
logo
right on there.
I think it even may be their third kit or something. But
even FC Kansas City, they've got dominoes right across the front. It's just
better than that cow.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. All right, final game: Seattle and Orlando. Seattle playing host to the Pride, who still have Kate and Kyle. She said thanks, but no thanks to the Olympics, but she's still listed as an alternate in case somebody gets hurt. But I don't know. Without Alex Morgan, without other quality players for Orlando, I think Seattle certainly has a better team with Jess Fishlock and Kim Little hanging around. I think Seattle takes this game personally. What about you, Simon?
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. That's one of the positives about. Am I right that England is not in the Olympics?
To my knowledge.
Right. Yeah, so Kim Little stays behind.
Well, Kim Little doesn't play for England, though. She plays for Scotland, doesn't she, Bianca?
Yeah, but they play
right.
the way they do it for Olympics is Team Great Britain.
That's right. It's Great Britain. That's
that's not fair.
It's the Olympics. That's the difference between the Olympics.
Great Britain would destroy everybody. Oh, my.
Well, the men's team didn't.
Well, that's England. They're just England.
No, they had players from Wales. We're talking about the Olympics.
That's right. Well, that's the U23s, though. That's totally different. That's the men's. It's a wash.
The best thing about that was Gareth Bale said, "I'm sick,"
yeah.
And then he played for his club team in just a week after that.
I love it.
Anyways, so Kim Little isn't going because Great Britain didn't make the Olympics. That's a huge thing for Seattle. And
but does that still work, though, because of Brexit? How does that work? England's not a part of the
EU. That has nothing to do with European Union.
Just throw that in there. I don't know. Bianca, did you make a prediction yet? I don't know if you did.
Yeah, I'm going with Seattle.
Okay.
They have all players.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Bianca, for taking some time with us here on the program. Where can people find you on social media and your wonderful writing as well?
Well, I'm on VAVEL USA, the NWSL section, so you can always find me there. And on Twitter, I'm at Bianca Verar. That's Bianca, and then VERAWR.
AWR. Oh, see, there you go. That's what threw us off last time when we tried to tag you. All right, well, Bianca, thank you so much for taking time. Bianca is the NWSL editor over at VAVEL USA. Check out her stuff and the rest of the fantastic writers over there at VAVEL USA. Bianca, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bianca.
All right, we are going to run to a break, especially after that segment. When we come back, two great back-to-back interviews. Michael Cox of Orlando City B, and then Femi Hollinger-Jansen as well. The New England Revolution will be here with us. Stay tuned. You're listening to Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. Back here in another edition of Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. I am Baxter Colburn. Thanks so much for being here with us today. Moving on with our show, we get to head down to the USL now for a little bit of our interview now with a friend of the program from Orlando City B. We are speaking with forward Michael Cox. Michael, good afternoon and welcome to Two Up Front, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are we doing today, Michael?
I'm doing good.
Good. Glad to hear it, Michael. Well, I'm sure that the beaches of sunny Florida are much better than what we're dealing with here in Wisconsin right now. It's cloudy. It's a little cold even too. And from myself as being a Florida native, I certainly miss the white sandy beaches of beautiful Orlando. That's for sure. But you guys over there with the Orlando B side have been doing some very interesting things so far this year. And tell us a little bit about what's been going on. You guys are doing fairly well in the standings, but certainly still a ways to go up the standings, as you guys are 6-6-6 right now. But how's everything been going so far, and what have you seen through the first 18 games of the season?
It's good. We're a new team. It was a bit of a rough start we had starting out, but we've built some momentum leading out the last couple months, leading into the playoffs, which is good. We're excited. We're feeling confident, and we feel confident about making a playoff push coming up here.
Well, which is good to hear. I mean, I think that anytime you can be in playoff contention, that certainly has to get the fans and you as the players rather excited as well. How are you feeling? I know that you've been called on a lot more recently to carry the load about not only on the scoring side of things, but just from a general leading perspective as well, too. How's the body? How's everything feeling with you from the demand that's been going on from you?
I feel good. The doctors are doing everything they can to keep me 100% healthy. I've had a few minor injuries here and there, but I feel good. I'm confident, and I feel good going into the playoffs, making the playoff push.
Which is good. I mean, that's fantastic to hear that you are staying in top health, especially from somebody like yourself that so far you've scored 6 goals so far here for Orlando City B. You spent a couple of years with FC Edmonton as well. Take us through some of that time as well. For those that don't know, you are a Canadian soccer player as well. You're originally from Calgary as well, born back in '92. Talk about the transition, I guess, from playing up in Canada now to the beautiful beaches of Florida. It's got to be a little bit of a culture shock, I feel like, for you.
Well, not too much of a culture shock. It was good. I came to FC Edmonton out of high school as a youngster, signing my first professional contract at 17. We played in the North American Soccer League, so a lot of the games were actually over here in Florida. You have Fort Lauderdale Strikers there and Tampa Bay.
Sure.
I've been over here. Yes, I've been over here, and it's been good. It's not too big of a transition, but I like it here in Florida.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, Florida can be a beautiful, beautiful place. That's for sure. When you talk about playing for a club like Orlando, for those that follow MLS, they know that Orlando City B is the USL partner side to the Three Lions, or to the Purple Lions, I guess, or the many different lines that they go by, I guess. But have there been any talks at all recently, Michael, if you having the opportunity to do some extra stuff with the first team at all, or is you're going to try to finish out the USL season first before you even think about maybe possibly jumping up and helping out what Orlando City is trying to do right now?
There was a possibility of me stepping up for the Open Cup games when the team was available for them. But no, not too much right now. Really, my focus is just the USL team and completing our season and achieving the goals that we have, and whatever comes after that is just a bonus.
When you talk about playing for the USL, you had the opportunity to play in the NASL too. Are the differences that big? I know if the way that some folks that view the NASL, they say, hey, we're just on the same level as what MLS is doing. But for someone like you that's had an opportunity to play in NASL for a couple of years and now go down to USL but also have MLS ties, is it all starting to blend together a little bit, or can you actually see the distinct differences between all the leagues?
They're all really similar, just very minor differences, nothing major. The level of soccer, it's not too far off. They're all pretty close, and I think that's the biggest thing. Besides the bigger things in other leagues like the MLS, they have bigger budgets and stuff like that. But as far as level of soccer, it's pretty similar to me.
Well, that's good to hear. Sometimes you don't, from us that are the talking heads, we're like, oh, it's 100% different, but actually getting the opportunity to speak with players, it's good to know that the differences, the lines might be a little bit closer together than some of us that aren't actually there experiencing it on a daily basis can realize. We're talking with Michael Cox here of Orlando City B here on Two Up Front. Michael, you lead Orlando City B with 6 goals on the season. Can you give us a little bit of insight about some of the other players on the squad this year that have really attributed to your scoring success, but also just the fact that your team has been able to start to step up and make a more of a surge for the playoffs now?
A real standout for me is the youngster, Pierre Da Silva. It's his first professional season, and he's done really well. He's leading the team in assists, and he's been on the end. I've been on the end of a few of his assists, so. And everyone else has been doing well, with the help of everyone. It's just not just one guy passing me the ball. It's team build-up, and we've been playing well as a team. So my whole team I have to give credit to.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, though. It's nice to see the young guys sometimes stepping up and asserting themselves among the veterans and being like, hey, I might be the new guy on the field, but I still can contribute, which is definitely good. Orlando City, Michael, hasn't lost a game in USL play back since June 5th. You've had a couple of draws in your recent matches, but as you look forward to the next maybe 3 or 4 matches, is there 1 or 2 of those matches you have circled on your calendar saying, look, this game is a pivotal turning point for us going forward?
I believe our next game is we're contending with Wilmington for the playoff spot. All of the games are going to be important for us, and we're going to go out and play our brand of football that we play and try and win every game that we can.
When you say you play your brand of football, for those that maybe aren't the followers of Orlando City from different areas of the country, what do you guys classify as your brand, or what do you, Michael, classify as your brand of football?
We like to move the ball, penetrate defenses, with a fast, nice style of soccer. If you see us play, we've been showing that, I think.
Which is good. I mean, that's something that certainly makes for a more entertaining brand. That's for sure. For people like to go and see the high scoring, fast action soccer nowadays. I mean, some people even compare it to the indoor game a little bit too, with how quick the outdoor game is starting to kind of transition to. Michael, on a more personal level, from you are a Canadian by trait, obviously, but is there any opportunities for you coming up to maybe have an opportunity to appear for the Canadian national team on any level, whether it's the senior team or the U23s at all?
Yes, I was actually involved in the youth program when I was 17. But other than that, I was supposed to be involved with the under-20s, but just a little bit unfortunate. I got called into camp, but I got injured at the time. So,
okay.
Other than that, from there, no, not too much yet, really.
Okay.
So hopefully looking forward to the future.
I was going to say, is that a goal for your moving forward then, saying that you want to try to get work into the player pool and be a little bit more of a consistent call-up then for the national team?
Yes, for sure. It's always an honor to play for a country. I have actually the option to play for Canada or Jamaica. So when that opportunity comes, or if it does come, I'll be happy to accept it. Okay,
well that's fantastic. That's good to hear that you're keeping your options open. Then has Jamaica reached out to you at all about possibly bringing you in?
No possible talks right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, something to certainly keep an eye on then, for future dates. But speaking of the future as well, though, too, I'm sure as much fun as it is playing in the USL, you probably have a little bit higher dream at some point of playing First Division somewhere, whether it's in MLS or in another country. But what are some of your future goals here that you have coming up for fans that love Michael Cox's goal-scoring ways? But are we going to see you in the first team of Orlando City, or are we going to see you at another MLS team, or what are some of your goals that you want to try to accomplish here in the next couple of years as you move forward with your career?
For me, the biggest thing for me is just to stay healthy. I can't really say where I'm going to be. I just want to play my best every game, and whatever opportunities come to me, I'll be happy to take. And if it means moving up, then I'll be happy to do that. But I have no idea where I'll end up in the future.
Well, let's play this game here for just a second, Michael. If you had the opportunity to play with one player anywhere in the world right now, if you say, hey, I'm going to be teammates for this guy for whatever it is, even for it's one game or for a season, who's the one guy somewhere in all of the soccer universe? I know that's quite a few names, but if you had to think about one, who's one guy that you just would love to play with?
I'd probably say Cristiano Ronaldo, my favorite player.
You think he's going to pass you the ball, though, during the game?
Probably not, but I'll be happy watching him.
Absolutely. He's like, hey, I'll just learn from him for 90 minutes. That's no problem at all. But well, that's awesome. Well, Michael, I appreciate you taking some time with me here on Two Up Front today, sir. Good luck to you the rest of the way, of course, for Orlando City B, and hopefully we can have you on the program again in the future, sir.
Yes, thanks for having me. Take care.
You're very welcome, Michael. Michael Cox of Orlando City B in the USL side. Go and check them out if you're in the Orlando area. They got a big game against Wilmington and a couple other ones coming up soon as well. We're going to run to a break. When we come back, we've got more in store for you. You're listening to Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. Stay with us. Welcome back inside the studio for another edition of Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. I am Baxter Colburn. Joining us on the line now is number 88 for the New England Revolution, Femi Hollinger-Jansen. Good afternoon, Femi, and welcome to Two Up Front, sir. How are we doing today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I appreciate you taking some time with us on the program today. It's very interesting, Femi, looking at the story that you have and looking from what you've overcome to be where you are now. It's truly remarkable, honestly, and I know that you're a true testament of overcoming adversity, which I think is amazing. And I'm curious, I guess. First of all, let's start more recently, and then we'll track back a little bit. But you were drafted 51st overall in the MLS Super Draft just a couple months ago. It's interesting too because the Super Draft works differently than a lot of other drafts do, and when you're drafted that late in the Super Draft, you're kind of viewed as a higher round, maybe a risk pick, like, yeah, we'll see if he makes the team, something like that. And when your name was finally called, obviously I'm sure there was some sort of, exciting emotion, but you realized that you had an uphill battle to work through. But how did you overcome that where you are now with the Revolution, a consistent substitution and sometimes even starter, depending on what's going on in the games?
Well, yeah. Being drafted, that late in the draft, definitely, it was. I knew there was going to be a challenge ahead of me. I knew I still had to, improve myself during preseason. And then just going into preseason, I told myself, go out there, play your game, work as hard as you can, and what happens. And luckily, the hard work that I put in during preseason, it's paid off. And throughout the season here, I've been able to continue working hard and doing what I do best, playing my game, and it's got me minutes. And I just hope to continue to keep progressing as a player, and keep learning more about the game, and just to keep doing well.
Your first goal came back against Chicago in a 2-0 victory. You were only on the field for a total of 18 minutes, and that's all you needed to score a goal on one shot it, and it was in. As soon as that happened, as soon as you realized that you had made your mark in MLS history and even Revolution history too, what was going through your mind at that point? I mean, scoring a goal as a substitution, I'm sure is obviously a very exciting and exhilarating thing, but your very first professional goal, what was going through your head at that time?
I was very excited at that time. I told myself before I went in, if I have an opportunity, take it. And I'm happy I, was there for that header that came across the box. But I was just filled with excitement, and it was really a dream come true. I've always dreamed about scoring a professional goal, and for it to actually come true, it was just an amazing feeling.
Absolutely, I can definitely understand that. I mean, just 2 games later, too, you decided to score one more time and only needed 13 minutes to score in that one. So you decided, hey, I'll double down. I mean, 1 shot, 1 goal in the other game, 1 shot, another goal as well. It's amazing to see, Femi, because you had, a very nice career as well when you played at Indiana University. You were a first-team All-Big Ten, and you had, a Big Ten sportsmanship honoree, and just, the list kind of goes on and on. But what people that don't know you, and they look at just, what you look like on paper, which is, a very talented, young, up-and-coming forward. They don't know the backstory, though. They don't know how you were able to overcome what you had as a child to where you are now. Can you give us a little bit of insight about some of those personal struggles and things that you had to get over to be where you are now?
Yeah. So, I was born and bred in West Africa, and I was adopted. I was actually had a deformed leg at the time. Doctor said I'd never walk again, but just with, my family's prayers and others' prayers, I was able to, heal from the deformity of my leg. But then, just coming to the United States, a lot of things were thrown at me being such a young kid, just in new school, having to make new friends. And fortunately enough, I was a pretty outgoing kid and was able to make friends. And then, just with soccer, that also allowed me to, be able to relate to others and make friends and connect to them that way. But yeah, throughout my life, but obviously ups and downs, with soccer. I played for a very small high school, pretty small club team. And, just every game, every time in those, sessions, I told myself, just work as hard as I can. I always wanted to go to Indiana, which is my big dream school to go to. But just playing for a small club in high school, I wasn't going to get recognized very well. And finally going into my senior year, my parents signed me up for the IU camp. And, going into that camp, my high school coach, my dad, others just told me, let's go to that camp, see what happens. I had no idea, I was going to get to play at the Division I level with, And so I went to the camp, just put in that hard work and, stuck to my game. And that was able to get me, a look from the IU coach and, eventually then ending up at IU.
It's absolutely incredible, too, honestly. From those that, like I said, that haven't had the opportunity to learn a lot about your past, and when I was, looking at this interview and getting ready to talk with you today, too, like reading all the different information that's available about, what you had to overcome. I just think it's truly remarkable and a true testament, too, of, having faith and not giving up. And, as a lot of people say, too, I mean, when God's on your side, you can do just about anything and pretty much anything. And that's a true testament to it right there. So, from me to you, congratulations, honestly, from what you've been able to accomplish so far in your career. So, you're welcome. Looking at what you do right now for the Revolution, it's no secret that the Revolution play in an Eastern Conference that is pretty much, it depends on who's hot and cold that day, because, the Eastern Conference out of any other conference in MLS is a very interesting and unique conference. Right now, the Revolution are technically in the playoffs if they were to start today, but everybody was within a point or two of themselves right now. Can you explain a little bit about what's going on with New England right now? They're 5-7-7. You guys have won 4 games at home so far, but you've also had a couple draws come here and there. But the biggest thing I feel like that's plagued the Revolution all season long is your inability to win on the road this year. Can you give us a little bit more insight about what's been going on and what you guys are looking to do now heading forward with the All-Star break coming up around the corner?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the first, half of the season obviously didn't go the way we wanted it to. We had a couple of tough games that we were ahead, and then the other team ended up playing at the end, and then, or even us losing. But going forward here, I mean, we had a great game against Columbus, and that was probably one of our best games we've played. We were a very good team front to back, and when we were able to, connect as a group and play, for one another, and play hard out there is when we were at our best game. And I think when we were earlier in the season, we're not doing that. But those games that we have won, you can see that where we are connecting as a team, where we are, working for one another, and I mean, it definitely shows with the wins we have gotten. So yeah, definitely going forward, we need to keep that mentality to be working for one another, to stay positive on the field with one another. And that will, truly allow us to play, our best soccer, to be more relaxed out there, and to come out with more, win results here in the next couple of months.
I would agree with that one as well. Talking with Femi Hollinger-Jansen here on 2 Up Front. 3 out of your next 5 games, Femi, are on the road. You guys are going to be at Real Salt Lake, at Orlando, and at Toronto. And then you'll have home games against Chicago and TFC. So definitely an opportunity to get a crack at some Eastern Conference foes and jump up the totem pole a little bit there in the Eastern Conference. How important is it for the Revolution right now that Kai Kamara has finally started to score some goals for you guys and kind of start living up to that hype that was, surrounding him when he did finally get traded over to the Revolution from Columbus?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, adding Kai Kamara, to our roster he was a great addition to the team. He does so much for our team. He draws, defenders towards him, creating space for other players. And then, he can also put the ball in the back of the net. He's done a great job the past couple of games of doing, both those things with assists and goals. But, just going forward here, we need to keep that, mentality of the win mentality, and that we need to be cohesive as a team and, work for one another. And it's going to be big for us with the Eastern Conference being so tight. 2 wins on the road will be very, very, very significant going forward. And then, with the home games as well coming up, we need to only have wins at home. We can't afford to be losing home games. With such a great fan base we have supporting us. We need to win games for them.
Absolutely. From a fan or from a player perspective, not a fan perspective, from a player perspective, does it feel like half the season is already over and you're coming into this final stretch already? I mean, I feel like it was just yesterday that opening day was, and all of a sudden we blink and it's like, oh, we're pretty much halfway done with the season now. From a player perspective, does it feel like that too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it feels like, the season just started like last week. It flies by, honestly. Things fly by when you're having fun. So, that's definitely true. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can understand that too. A couple other things here, Femi, before we let you go. What's the biggest thing for you as you move forward now with the remainder of the second half of the season? You're on a roster, as many folks know that follow the Revolution. You guys are very stacked offensively, and the fact that you have been able to get a more consistent substitution role has been surprising to some people. But you've been fortunate. Well, fortunate I say in quotes because some people have been injured and different players have been hot and cold at times too. But as you as a player look forward to the remainder of the season, the playoffs are within the grasp right now of the Revolution. what do you need to do the most to, obviously assert yourself as a consistent player for Jay Heaps, but also just to help the Revolution go as far as they possibly can the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could not be getting complacent with myself. I always have to be hungry. Always need to be, ready to work hard, every practice, every game, and then especially off the field, to be, taking care of my body, eating the right things, getting, my own sleep, and, just making sure I do the little things correctly. And I just going forward in the next, till the end of the season, I think I just need to keep hungry, and that hard work ethic needs to continue to happen. And I need to continue to progress and learn from the game, game by game, and I think that will definitely pay off in the end as I look back on the season when the season is over. But definitely need to stay hungry as the season continues here.
Do you have any long-term goals that you're working towards, not only like from the club level, but from a national team level as well too? I mean, what are some of those things that you have, like on your they always say where do you see yourself in 5 years, but where do you is yourself in a player career? What are you striving towards in the future that fans can get excited for?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely do want to play for the U.S. national team at some point. That's the goal I have for myself, or even the Beninese national team. Would be also a good experience and a goal that I have. But right now at this moment in time, I'm just really living in the moment and enjoying my first rookie season. But yeah, definitely down the road, I'm looking to play for one of those national teams.
Well, fantastic. Well, Femi, we appreciate you taking time with us here on Two Up Front today. Very best of luck to you down the stretch here as well. And if it works out, we'd love to have you on the program again in the future, sir.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Femi Hollinger-Jansen of the New England Revolution, number 88. You can check out the Revs all over the place as they're going to be here, there, and everywhere playing in MLS action, fighting for a top spot in the East. We're going to run to a break. When we come back, we've got more exciting action in store for you. Stay with us. You're listening to Two Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. Welcome back inside the studio. Another edition of Two Up Front. Moving on, I am Baxter Colburn.
And this is Simon Provan.
All right, Simon Provan. Let's move on into some MLS talk, wouldn't you say?
Let's do it.
We had some great Orlando City B and New England Revolution talk, and now we get to go a little bit more league-wide with what's going on, some predictions, and looking at what's coming up here in MLS. So let's dive right into it. Real fast, though, let's update NYCFC and Philadelphia 1-2 in the Eastern Conference, and FC Dallas and Colorado 1-2 in the West right now. Not exactly who I thought would be 1-2 in the East, that's for sure, at this point in the season, at almost the All-Star break, but it's MLS.
It is MLS.
Anything can happen.
Especially with transfer season coming up, and we know how that goes.
Exactly.
That can mess with the
shake
whole
you or
league.
break you.
Yeah.
It absolutely can. All right, well, let's start with RSL and San Jose. Those games are on Saturday. Also followed by Portland and LA, both on Saturday as well. A lot of Sunday games this week, so if you're by a TV or you got MLS Live, a lot of opportunities for you to check out your favorite team playing. But let's start with Saturday.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a quick correction, Baxter. RSL takes on San Jose on Friday, July 22nd.
How interesting.
Yeah, let's see what...
According to WhoScored.com, they play on Saturday, July 23rd. This is awkward.
I'm going to go with the leagues.
I'm going to assume. So I'm going to close out of this tab, because they have lost my respect. And I'm going to go to the official. Oh, look at that. They play Friday night. It's a Christmas miracle.
Look at that.
And everybody plays Saturday, and there's 2 games on Sunday. What the?
There you go.
So we're going to edit. Whatever. Who cares?
Whatever.
Anyway, RSL playing San Jose Friday night.
Yeah, this is a tough one, Baxter. So we're kind of doing the predictions thing.
Predictions,
right? Yeah, okay. So, RSL... 5-game winless streak right now, but they're playing New England,
San Jose.
San Jose.
Hey. Keep it together. We're bad, but not that bad.
With the newly named Chris Wondolowski as their All-Star, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, this is tough.
And David Beckham.
Quakes snapped a 7-game winless streak, beating Toronto FC 2-1. I think.
Do you know how they did that, though, Simon?
I don't know.
They were with 9 players.
With 9 players.
9 players.
So I have to admit to
TFC.
everybody, Baxter, it was my last day
Yes.
on the West Coast, my last week, obviously. I didn't get a chance to watch much because things were really intense there.
Sure.
So tell me about this.
So I was able to actually watch I was laying in bed and I was like, I'm wide awake. And I'm like, let's see if there's MLS on. So I flipped my phone on real fast, MLS Live, and I'm like, oh, look, San Jose and TFC are playing. Okay, it's the only game that's still going on. It was like 20 minutes to go, and it was still 1-1, and they're like, San Jose playing with 10 men. And I was like, playing with 9 men. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe TFC will sneak a game away. And lo and behold, a counterattack breaks out down the far side of the field. Simon Dawkins takes on about 4 different TFC players on the far left wing, cuts it back inside, shoots a ball, what you think would be an easy save at I believe it's Alex Bono is the TFC goalkeeper, right at, hand level, and he just literally misjudges it, and it flies right past him.
Wow.
He's literally standing there. It wasn't a hard shot. It wasn't like a crazy shot. Like, it was a fairly normal warm-up shot. You just, not too hard, but it was like, it was just to the left of, of the goalkeeper, and he moved, but he moved too late. Like, his reaction time stopped for a second, and when he finally moved, the ball was already too far, and he couldn't get his hand out in time to just literally all I had to do was just bat it away.
Wow.
And it went in.
That reminds me of the Drogba goal that he scored against LA,
Basically,
where Rowe was just kind of standing there.
Rowe, I think at least got hands on it.
He did get a hand on it.
But to my knowledge, the goalkeeper for TFC didn't even touch the ball.
Wow.
But it's one of the things where you have to watch it on video, and you're just like, but that wasn't supposed to happen. So San Jose somehow then parked the proverbial bus, and they won 2-1 with 9 players. It was amazing.
Wow.
But I was like,
I wish I had seen
I was
that.
like, classic TFC. Classic.
Yes.
You can't beat a 9-man San Jose team. That is absolute garbage.
Well, this is, I think I do. I kind of want to take RSL, but I'm going to have to take a draw on this one, Baxter.
Are you? Okay. Yeah, especially for me, too, in this one. I'd like to say that RSL is the better team. However, I'm going to draw as well. I feel like this is the first time we've both drawn on something. Portland and LA. LA, they continue, as we all know, to quietly do their thing. That's just what they do.
I don't think it's so quiet anymore, to be honest with you.
Well, they're in 3rd place. It would be not as quiet if they were in 1st, I feel like.
Yeah, but 32 goals for on the season, 18 against, so a very respectable plus 14 goal differential.
Best goal differential in MLS right now.
Right. You've got amazingly that I do know that Robbie Keane missed his a PK last week. How do I know that? Because I had him on my fantasy team.
Yes. The LA Galaxy, they've only lost 1 game out of their last 6. They've drawn 2, won 3. Portland hasn't lost their last 6.
Yeah,
so.
Portland's been playing well. I mean, they're starting to get things together. They're finally above that red line.
Yeah.
So the reigning MLS Cup champs. I'm going to take Portland on this
Are
one.
you?
They did have that. Granted, it's Seattle, but a great 3-1 win against the rival at home.
I'd agree with you on that one. Yeah.
I'm gonna take, with some risk, I'm gonna take Portland.
Okay, I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna take LA. I think that with the fact of as well as the team continues to play right now, they seem to have figured this out, and I think they're going to be able to slow down Diego Valeri, and they're going to be able to put a game away. It's going to be a very closely contested game. I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game despite all the offense for both teams. I think it's going to be maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1 at the most, I feel like.
Right. Yeah, if Galaxy is on that horse that they can get on,
yes.
they could destroy this Portland team, but Portland's playing some decent defense.
With their new official number 1 goalkeeper, Jake Gleason. Now that Kawase's been gone.
That's right.
He's been shipped. Pieced out.
That's right.
Forgot about that in the first segment. How do you feel about that? I'm curious. I've been wondering. I've been waiting to ask you.
You know what? It's a classic case of somebody taking advantage of their opportunity. I mean,
and actually doing something with it.
And doing right, exactly. I mean, Gleason has been playing lights out. Now, at the same time, he hasn't been playing that much better than Kwarsi was.
Sure.
I mean, they were winning with Kwarsi.
Yeah, of course.
Well, actually, I take that back. They were drawing a lot with Kwarsi.
They weren't losing, though.
But they weren't losing. They won an MLS championship with Kwarsi. So you've got 2 very good keepers on your team. If anything, you want to make it's almost as a favor that you say, all right, you know what? We're not going to play you. You're too quality to be sitting on the bench.
Yep, exactly.
So let's get you out of here where you can go play.
Yeah. So with that being said, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Jake Gleason now fully thrust into it. I'm curious to know what he's capable of doing, and somebody to keep an eye on, Simon, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So you're taking LA. I'm taking.
Yes. Yep. I have LA. You have Portland. TFC and DC United. Toronto hosting. Very much still licking their wounds after that. Still no. Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore did not take part in that game. This last weekend. Giovinco did take a part in that. But TFC and DC United. What do you think, Simon?
This is a tough one because we're seeing DC start to make some good moves. And I don't have the stats here, Baxter, but I almost, just thinking about TFC's home games, I got to believe they don't have the best record at home. I don't know if you've got that pulled up there.
They are 3-1-3 at home. They've only lost once at home this year.
Okay. But 3 draws, I mean, they're not...
They're not blowing people away.
Right. So this is actually a tough one for me, but I think I'm still going to take TFC. Hamilton has actually been playing very well up top for them as a forward position. At the point where even if Altidore's healthy, do you really put him in over Hamilton?
Well, Altidore is just...
I mean, Hamilton has 2 goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
He's getting plenty of assists in there as well. He's playing fantastic.
I agree. Something to keep an eye on.
TFC. I'm going with TFC.
You're going with TFC. I'm gonna go for the transfer kings right now. DC United.
All right.
I'm curious to see what they can do. Honestly, Montreal and Philadelphia. A very fun and entertaining battle in the Eastern Conference. Last week, all 4 of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference played each other, and all 4 will be playing again this week as well.
Right.
And obviously different teams, of course. NYCFC, they play the Red Bulls. Philly takes on Montreal. Based off of who wins, if TFC manages to get a victory over DC, they could jump into 4th place over Montreal. New England could also do the same as well, but we'll get to that in a moment. Montreal and Philadelphia. Philadelphia 7-1-3 at home this year, but they go on the road now, and their road record is 1-5-3 on the converse side of that. Well, Montreal is 4-2-3 at home.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Montreal is always played well at home. It was Sapong finally got on the scoreboard last week. Granted, it was a penalty kick in the 67th minute. It's right. It counts. I'm going to have you pick the first here, back. So let me think about this one a little longer.
I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take Montreal. Based off of what they're doing right now, I think that they are slightly better, and I think it's time for this isn't the upset of the week, obviously, because they're a very good team, and so is Philadelphia, of course. But Philadelphia, for some reason, has not had the same spark recently. They've won 3 out of their last, but they've also lost 3 out of their last 6 as well.
Well, and here's an interesting one too, Baxter. The Impact had won the first 4 meetings between the teams at Stade Saputo before last year's Union win. So the Union only have 1 win in Montreal, and that's kind of what I was looking for there. I'm gonna go with Montreal as well.
And then of course Ignacio Piatti, 11 goals. That's why he's on my fantasy team, folks. We'll keep an eye on that one. We both have Montreal, Columbus, and Orlando. The first time Jason Kreis gets to debut against a horrible Columbus Crew team. But Ola Kamara, though.
Couldn't have said it better.
Ola Kamara, though.
You imagine if he was on a better team, how many goals would he have already?
Well, I think the reason he has 9 goals since he's come into MLS is because he's the focus. Well, if he wasn't the focus, how good would he be?
Well, I guess that would be up for debate. I see it as you get him in there with somebody like a Michael Bradley who can feed him even more balls.
Well, you've got Ethan Finley and Will Trapp and Tony Chani.
All-Star Will Trapp.
Quality. Ethan Finley, a U.S. men's national team player, occasionally.
I'm going to call a minor upset and go with Orlando on this.
Oh, interesting. You think they're going to rally behind Jason?
Exactly. Yep.
I'm going to call a draw.
Okay.
I think it's going to be good, but not that good. The Revs hosting Chicago. Traditionally, at least for me, I call this a rivalry game. It depends on who you ask, I guess, between both sides if they consider it a rivalry game, just because of the history between the two teams. The Revs, they beat Chicago 2-0 back on May 14th at New England. New England, though, they've been a bit of an interesting team the last 6 games. They've won 2 out of their last 6. They've lost 3 in a row. They drew their last game, of course, while Chicago, they've gotten 2 wins out of their last 6, but 4 losses as well. Nobody's really standing out for me in either team. Lee Wynn's got 5 goals for the Revs, but for Chicago, Kennedy Iguananike, 4 goals. David Akam, 4. Neither team really blows me off the page right now.
Same with me, Baxter. I'll tell you what, too. I mean, the interesting thing, the Fire have not won in 7 road games. So this will be their 8th road game that they possibly could lose. I'm going to call a draw on this one, though.
Oh.
My my head says New England, but my gut says draw.
Interesting.
So I'm going to go with my gut on this one.
Well, see, this is always the hard part for me. I'm going to take the Revs. I think at home, New England.
That's a good pick. It's the sensible pick. I'm being nonsensical here.
Well, which usually works better for you than it does for me.
That's what my wife says too. Oh wait, no, she says the opposite.
Oh, she's like, no, I'm the smart one. I don't know. All right, Colorado and FC Dallas, arguably the second of the two games of the week. Maybe even more better than the New York Derby, which we'll get to in a moment.
You said more better. I
Yes.
love it.
I was homeschooled. What do you want from me, Simon? Colorado hosting FC Dallas. Tim Howard getting his first real crack at facing a real opponent since being in MLS.
Yes.
FC Dallas will win this game.
You're going with FC Dallas.
I am.
It's Colorado. I got to pick a draw.
Interesting.
They're at home. They are becoming the team of draws. Granted, they won their last game. I get that. But just even out of their last 6, they've won 2 out of 4. The other 4 have been draws.
Yeah.
FC Dallas, they do one or the other. They play incredibly well or incredibly bad.
How'd they lose 5-0 to Seattle? That was just stupid.
Well, they were playing their B team, essentially.
They really
That's
were.
how.
I know. Seattle was like, we're good. And people were like, chill. Stop.
I mean, FC Dallas has so much firepower. That's the thing. Arudi, Castillo, Diaz.
Barrios.
Akindele. Akindele, thank you.
Walker Zimmerman, our boy.
But then you look at the Rapids defense, the shape that they keep, how compact they are in the back there. They're not too exciting up front. That's the one big knock against them. But they know how to keep teams at bay. So I'm taking a draw on this one, Baxter.
Okay, interesting. We'll have to see.
Speaking of somebody who could have made the MLS roster is Sorberg, or however you say it, the defender.
Sorberg,
the defender, the Swede for Colorado. It's actually a shame.
The Swede.
Yeah, 25 years old. I mean, for him to be in
Jones
this league,
made the All-Star roster.
But
Ridiculous.
I always talk about there's certain players the league really should be
Yes.
putting their marketing around. He's one of those young players, 25 years old. You don't hear about him, and you should. He's a fantastic player.
He's got an awesome
undervalued.
First name. His name's Axel.
Right.
That's awesome. I love that.
So there's another snub that could have been one of the defenders.
I agree. Vancouver visiting Houston. Vancouver now with Fabian Espindola, Blas Perez, Kutamane, who did not also make it on the All-Star team.
He's injured, though.
I think you're right.
I think he just had surgery.
Now that I say that, I think you're right.
Yeah, I believe I saw it on Twitter that he just had surgery.
Either way, Pedro Morales, Christian Bolaños, you could go on and on. Octavio Rivera, well, he's no longer there, I believe. Nicholas. Either way, Jordan Harvey, Kendall Waston, Christian Teixeira, a very, very good Vancouver team. Got even better with Fabian Espindola.
Yeah, but we've been saying that about them all year, and they lay egg after egg after egg.
They're still in 5th place in the West, though.
Yeah,
they've got a very hard-fought 29
Should we call
points.
this my upset if I'm taking Houston?
You, of course, can say that.
All right.
That would definitely be an upset in my book.
I'm taking Houston.
Okay. I have Vancouver. I really do. I think that Vancouver is the better team, and I think that they will prevail. The New York Derby.
That was very insightful.
Thank you. I studied all week to say that. Sometimes, Simon, I run out of words, okay? Let's not make this a bigger deal.
I shouldn't be laughing at you because I do that all the time.
It's like they're just the better team, man. They're going to win.
So they're the better team. I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Baxter Colburn.
Vancouver has better players, more superior firepower, and they are capable of beating a very depleted Houston Dynamo team. There you go. There is some insight for you.
Are they depleted, Houston? I don't think they're depleted.
They're playing depleted.
They're playing depleted.
The dancing bear is not dancing. Giles Barnes is busy making commercials and not actually focusing on his career.
Okay.
And DeMarcus Beasley's still hurt.
Oh.
There's that.
See what happens when I go away. Well, I already made my pick. I can't change it now.
You
Red Bulls.
You already made your pick? When did you make your pick?
I said Houston.
Oh, I thought you were saying Red Bulls.
No,
we didn't even talk about the game.
I'm moving on now.
Okay.
Going to the
Red Bulls hosting NYCFC.
Yeah.
The Derby, each team has won, so it's a rivalry. It's still not a rivalry. NYCFC actually has to put up more resistance. If NYCFC wins this game very demandingly, I will say that now you have your rivalry. But if the Red Bulls still win, I'll be like, it's not a rivalry. Even if they draw, I'll be like, it's not a rivalry. Still not yet, in my opinion.
Listen, one thing I've been wrong about. No, I haven't been wrong about. I still don't think his heart's really into it. Is Lampard has changed the look of NYCFC, but it makes you wonder if had he had that heart from the beginning, how good of a club could this have been?
Well, we're seeing what they can be now, though.
Right.
But Jason Christ still have a job.
It is interesting, isn't it, that Verar comes aboard and all of a sudden Lampard decides, hey, you know what, I'm gonna
start playing now.
Yeah.
I'm scoring 5 goals now. And how about Jack Harrison, though?
Harrison, that is the story. Yes.
That's the story right now. And rumors are saying that he'll go back to Manchester City, you know, potentially. I mean, which at this point, sure. If you have that opportunity to go play, why not?
At the same time, that would make them look so disingenuous because they said from the start this is not a development squad for our team in Manchester.
As soon as they drafted a Brit, or as soon as they traded for a Brit,
yes,
brought him to the sister team, basically, you knew from the moment as soon as they got him, they're like, how can we get him in a City jersey, a Man City jersey? But Devin Villa, obviously the man stealing the show.
13 goals. 13 goals on the season.
Incredible. But BWP, though, 9 goals. Mike Grella, 6. Sasha Kleshtin, 4.
Yeah, Kleshtin with 4 goals, but he had 2 in the last game.
He did.
How about that?
So, what do you...
do
you pick a draw?
I'm going to take the Red Bulls in this.
Interesting. Okay. For argument's sake, I'm going to take NYCFC because they've been on a bit of a streak, and I think that they are tired of losing to their bigger brother. And I think they are going to come with a vengeance in this game.
It's across the river this time. It's in Red Bull Arena.
Yes.
And I'd like to say, so they're going to have all their fans. Actually, this is the one game that does sell out.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree. At Red Bull Arena.
And it does actually feel like a derby atmosphere. I feel like in Yankee Stadium.
No, it doesn't. No.
It doesn't, but definitely
you can't have a derby
Red Bull
any
Arena.
feel in a baseball stadium. And then finally the last game of
the
the
week.
week.
What if it's a home run derby? Bum, 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 bum.
Sporting Kansas City and Seattle. Never thought about that, but that's terrible. I honestly don't care about this game. I really don't.
Of course you don't.
Because these teams are both terrible.
They're bad.
They're really bad.
They are.
Sporting's going to find a way to lose this game, though.
Oh, you think so? I'm taking Sporting. Yeah, I'm going to take Sporting on this one.
Okay.
Sporting Kansas City.
I can live with that.
Don Dwyer might actually get another goal.
I hope he does.
He's got 8 goals on the season, but I feel like they came
They've
in
been so bad, though.
First.
So bad. Yeah. I don't know. All right, Simon, let's go to a break. When we come back, let's do some power rankings. Let's I Believe, and let's close things out. All right?
All right, fine.
All right, you're listening to 2 Up Front, presented by ShopFutsal.com. Hang with us.
2 Up Front is the American soccer show on the Sports Podcasting Network. Join Baxter Colburn and Simon Provan on Fridays at 11:30 a.m. Central as they cover all things American soccer, with weekly guests from the pro, college, and youth ranks, and digging deep into the American professional leagues. 2 Up Front gives you the insight you're looking for. Airing at 11:30 a.m. Central on SportsPodcastingNetwork.com, it's 2 Up Front, the world's game from an American perspective.
Welcome back inside the studio. 2 Up Front, closing things down for the final time here on the show. I am Baxter Colburn.
This is Simon Provan.
All right, Simon Provan. As we finish up the show, I believe it's time for some power rankings.
It is.
All right.
One of these days we get to say power rankings brought to you by... So if you're interested in sponsoring us, and we know we've been teasing you for some time now about a potential sponsor that we have lined up. It's getting closer and closer. Details almost all figured out, so we'll have the announcement. But if you are a soccer fanatic of a company or a soccer pub, or you have something to do with, I don't know,
you don't even have
athletic
to have anything to do
stuff,
with soccer.
Or whatever.
You could just have a bunch of money burning a hole in your pocket.
There you go.
There you go. You know, I think this would do service to somebody else.
Yeah, so anyways, reach out to us. 2upfrontsoccer@gmail.com is a great way to get a hold of us. Otherwise, go to our website, 2upfrontsoccer.com.
Yes, indeed.
And get some info there.
I like it. I like it a lot. Do we want music while we power rank?
That'd be kind of fun, sure.
We could do something.
I'm doing this on the fly, folks. Baxter's cat is next to me.
It's a very fun time here in the VLC studios.
Baxter's hooking up music.
I love it. All right, number 5. We both have the same team at number 5, Simon.
Yeah, they very possibly could be higher, but this is the first time they're in our rankings in quite a while, so we put them at 5. LA Galaxy.
Yeah, works for me. No argument there. They've been playing well, and hopefully they'll stay there as well and maybe work their way up. My number 4 is the Portland Timbers, playing very well, not losing a lot. But there's just a couple teams, in my opinion, that are just a little bit better than them right now.
Yeah, my team is my number 4 team is NYCFC, who we were talking Baxter off air. A lot of these teams could really make the argument to be number one.
Agreed.
Looking at New York City FC, they did lose that game 3-1 to Sporting Kansas City on the 10th. They did come back and beat Montreal 3-1, but looking to see how things go in these next few games before I put them a little higher.
I'd agree with you. Okay, NYCFC, they are my number 3, and for all the aforementioned reasons that you just said as well, Simon. A very good team. They're playing at a high level. They've got an all-star in David Villa and Andrea Pirlo.
Yeah. Baxter, for the first time since week 11, we have both changed our number one team, put the same number one team in there. So that means Colorado has fallen in both of our power rankings. They fell to number 3 for me.
They fell down just one spot to number 2 for me.
Yeah, the reason for me is draws. A decent draw against the Galaxy, but that was back on June 22nd when the Galaxy weren't, fantastically hot. Tied Portland 0-0. Drew with Vancouver 2-2. Repeated theme here, draw after draw after draw. Then they finally did get a win, again, though, against Sporting Kansas City. So I have them at number 3. You already mentioned your number 3, NYCFC.
Yep.
Mentioned your number 2, Colorado. Anything you want to add to that?
The only thing I'm going to add is that they're unbeaten in 14.
They are.
That's
Can't argue
worthy
with
of
that.
a number 2 spot, in my opinion.
For me, I've got Portland as my number 2, and I promise you that is not homerism, and I'm not talking about the Odyssey or the Simpsons.
Or baseball.
Or baseball. That was good.
Thank you.
Portland as well, though. They were having some troubles at the beginning. I actually give a little more credit for figuring things out. Haven't lost since May 15th. 4 wins in this 9-game unbeaten streak. And Baxter, not only did they win their last game, they beat Seattle 3-1. Seattle that good of a team? No, but it's Cascadia. All that kind of stuff goes out the window. Portland
Agreed.
with a huge win against Seattle, so I put them at number 2.
Agreed. And our number 1, Simon.
I'll let you take this one, Baxter.
Unanimously, number 1, FC Dallas. Playing arguably the best soccer in the league. But wait, what? What is that? They've lost? Just 2 games ago to Seattle, 5-0? Well, that was their B team. Then they also lost to Sporting Kansas City, 2-0. All the way back on June 19th. Regardless, FC Dallas.
The thing is with this team, as we talked about, when they're hot, when Diaz is playing his best, when Barrios is playing his best, when Castillo is playing his best, not only do they play well, they're so exciting to watch, Baxter.
I agree. I completely agree with you on that one. All right, run us through our top 5 one more time, Simon.
Top 5, Baxter. We both have FC Dallas. You have Colorado at number 2. I have Portland at number 2. You have New York City FC at 3. I've got Colorado at 3. Portland for you at 4. City for me at 4. LA for both of us at 5.
I like it. That's a very good time then to move on to our final segment of the show. It is time for our I Believe segment, where Simon and I both offer a statement about the soccer world that we believe will take place, whether we think it's actually going to happen or not. It's still fun to make a prediction, as it were, about the soccer world. Simon, what is your I Believe this week?
All right, Baxter, my I Believe. Now, we do not have any insight on this with the Milwaukee Torrent.
No.
Of course, we are the broadcast team for the Milwaukee Torrent. We know there's going to be a big announcement on Saturday. We honestly do not know what that is.
No.
But I believe that we will see the Torrent in the legitimate part of the NPSL. It was provisional this year, so they weren't able to qualify for the playoffs.
Yes.
But I believe we'll see the Milwaukee Torrent playing in the NPSL. I'm going to double this, I believe. We're going to see the Milwaukee Torrent in the NPSL legitimately next year. We're going to see him make the playoffs, and we're going to see him make a run for the championship.
Interesting. Okay, what about U.S. Open Cup? Because they can play for
the U.S. Open Cup. Let's see. So first round, they would enter... I think they'd have to qualify, I believe. I'm not sure how it works because they're a professional team in a semi-pro league. So I'm not sure where that falls with where they would enter. But I could see the Torrent making it to the fourth round.
USL games.
Yeah, USL teams. NAS. I could see them going all the way. I could see them beat a USL team and make it up against an NASL team.
Interesting. Well, that would be fun. I would definitely love to be a part of those broadcasts, of course, as we will. Shameless plug, you can listen to us on Rabble.tv on Saturday. The pregame show starts at about 5:45 p.m. Central Time. You can listen to it there, and the official kickoff is scheduled for 6 p.m. The Torn play their final game against the Chicago Mustangs. They've already wrapped up the Central Division Championship. There will be a trophy presentation and all that hoopla before probably after the game. And you can listen to us, myself and Simon Provan, and all other kinds of surprises as well. My I Believe for this week centers around the wonderful women of the U.S. Women's National Team. I believe that they will win the gold medal again for the, I believe it'd be the fourth consecutive time, the third or fourth consecutive time they will.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They will win the gold medal, but I believe they are going to take home the gold medal with somewhat of an ease. France is going to give them their biggest test, I think, and once they get out of the group stage, they are going to run over the rest of the competition.
Baxter, I could not agree more.
You believe?
I believe that we will win.
Well done. I like what you did there.
Thank you.
Well played. All right, Simon. Well, thank you to all of you wonderful listeners for tuning in. We love hearing from you guys. We really do. You can find us all over the place, emailing us, obviously, of course, 2upfrontsoccer@gmail.com. Our website, also 2upfrontsoccer.com. And you can find us on Fridays, of course, on the Sports Podcasting Network at 11:30 a.m. Central Time by going to sportspodcastingnetwork.com. And then on demand on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker.com as well.
You can find us on Facebook. Just type in the search engine there, 2Upfront. You'll find us there. We're also on Twitter at 2UpfrontSoccer, at Baxter Colburn, at Simon Provan. Find us on the web, 2UpfrontSoccer.com. Also by our email, 2UpfrontSoccer@gmail.com.
Yes, indeed. Special thanks to VAVEL USA NWSL editor Bianca Verar, Michael Cox of Orlando City B, and Femi Hollinger-Jansen of the New England Revolution for joining us this week. Some great interviews mulling around for you next weekend. We can't tell you who they are yet because we haven't recorded the interviews yet, but once we know, obviously stay tuned to social media and we will let you know. He is Simon Provan. I am Baxter Colburn. It's great to have you back, Simon. I'm looking forward to next week's show, of course.
Likewise, Baxter. Thank you.
You're very welcome. With our manager being the one above, we are 2 Up Front.